What's up, Hoopers? Dennis Schroeder is back in LA. He's going to be a Laker again. He just signed for $2.6 million. Not a lot of money. Now they got Kendrick Nunn. Now they got Pat Bev. Now they got Russell Westbrook. Now they got Dennis Schroeder. This is a ton of point guards. I want to discuss this, signing with you guys, bring up all of your comments, and this is breaking news. It just was released, so we're going to discuss it. We're going to go through shot charts. We're going to go through stats, but we have eyeballs on this. He was a Laker before. He played with LeBron. It was not a good fit. He turned down an $80 million extension, is now freaking signing for $2 million. So I'm all about these NBA players getting paid. I'm all about them getting their money. I don't trash talk it. I'm a hooper too, but this is crazy. I just wonder what the heck is going to happen with Westbrook. I want you guys to be commenting like crazy. Let's bring up a conversation. But here's the news. It just popped in on ESPN. Free agent guard Dennis Schroeder is finalizing a 1-year, $2.6 million deal with the Lakers that his agent just reported. Schroeder turned down an extension with the Lakers worth $80 million during the 2021 season, and that's when he was averaging 15 points, nearly 6 assists in LA. He later struck out in free agency, however, eventually settling for a 1-year deal in Boston for about $6 million. Schroeder produced for the Celtics, averaging 14.4, 4.2 assists in 29 minutes per game. But he was traded to the Rockets for Tice, and he played 15 games there. So we'll start bringing up some of your guys' questions, comments. I just wonder, what is it about bringing in another guard? The Lakers have so much more that they need to do. Schroeder's not like an absolute knockdown shooter. In fact, we'll bring up his stats, and I love doing shot charts. I got a ton of you in the audience right now. I'm the NBA white guy. I talk all things NBA hoops from a hooper's perspective. Make sure you hit that like button. If you haven't yet, subscribe to this channel. I really give in-depth stories. I was able to play, basketball all through college. I got crazy stories. I'm breaking down the Lakers offense, and I'm giving stories about, Westbrook and the Beverleys, how they're going to get along, and the crazy competition. I remember doing that. So make sure that you subscribe to this. Mr. W, you guys comment down below. What do you guys think about Schroeder being a Laker? Does this mean that Westbrook's staying? What does it mean to you? Been saying the Lakers should get 2 more wings and give the last roster spot to Schroeder. Lakers need to get those wings in the Westbrook trade. So that's it. Why would you bring in another point guard when we really need wings? Are they looking to make this trade? Is there something that's going to happen, or are they rolling in with what they got and just want more depth? I'm super high on Kendrick Nunn. I love Kendrick Nunn. I can bring up the shot charts too, and we can really discuss it. Couple of you guys, let's see. A Westbrook trade has to be coming now. Too many guards. It just doesn't make sense. Man, nothing makes sense in the NBA anymore, does it? It's just crazy, especially in LA land. But I mean, just gut instinct. I thought the Westbrook Pat Beverley thing was going to work, and I broke this down in my last video. You got to go check it out because it really boils down to 3 phases. They're both talking about how excited, well, at least Pat Bev is talking about how excited they are. We've seen them in practice, dabbing it up and high-fiving, and I've been in these locker rooms. I've played, a long time, and I remember playing crosstown rivals or other colleges and just hated that team. And there was players that I played every year, and I hated those dudes, and I wanted to beat the brakes off of them. But when, postseason came along and played, summer leagues, AAUs, or played all-star appearances, and I got to team up with those dudes, I was jacked about it. I couldn't wait to ball with them. And that's kind of what I thought this Westbrook, Pat Bev thing was doing. Even though it's a tiny backcourt, I thought that these dudes, now they've had their differences, of course, but that's just what hoopers do, man. We want to win. We're competitive. And so I thought they were going to go into camp with that. Everything got very, very, very silent. But now signing Schroeder, I think it's something, man. And Westbrook, if you didn't see it, I did another video on this. He liked to tweet with a trade to Miami. I don't think Miami's going to be trading, but Westbrook liked it, and he also, mentioned in an interview that he is up to being traded as long as it's to a good team, So, man, I think it could happen while we're going live right now. What are you guys hearing? What kind of trade do you think is out there? Let's get some of these up here. That's Life says, I'm smelling a Russell Westbrook trade incoming. God, it seems like that, wouldn't it be? Albert says, a Westbrook has to be gone now. That's 7 guards now. And it really is, when you start talking about Lonnie Walker. I mean, Austin Reeves, they're good, wing player. He's 6'5". I love his tenacity. I like to watch hoops from a different perspective of not just like stats and stuff. I like hustle guys. I think Reeves can kind of come in and give us a Alex Caruso role. Every single, everything that's out there about Austin Reeves, the dude's been putting in 3-a-days and just working relentlessly. So I think he knows the opportunity he has and who he's playing with. So Reeves can be an absolute monster. I love him. I'm super high on Kendrick Nunn. Kendrick Nunn is a walking bucket. In 2020, that was one of the most ascending players. I was terrified of that dude in the bubble watching him for Miami. He lit up the Lakers for like 30 points, had 6 threes. He's a good player, and I love Kendrick Nunn. So now we got like 37 guards on the Lakers. So Westbrook is leaving. That's what everybody's kind of thinking about right now. Again, you guys comment down below. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, I started this a couple months ago. I'm the NBA white guy. So I do all of these videos and I break them down. So I bring up a lot of stats and I bring up a lot of shot charts and I break down offenses from my perspective of playing basketball my whole life. So, and through the college level. So make sure you're tapping that subscribe button. Arthur, but it's a bad sign about the Utah Jazz trade. The topics were Conley and Clarkson. Weren't those 2 guards? Looks like they are pivoting. See, I think, yes, you're absolutely right, and that was the big talk. Clarkson. A lot of people weren't too high on giving up draft picks for Clarkson. So I think. The only thing is we had Schroeder there at Lakers, and it didn't really pan out as well. I remember watching them together. It really didn't click that well, but he has been, he's got a couple more years on him. He had a really solid campaign with the Celtics last year. I think Celtics really could have used, some of that in the finals, but they were just outmatched. But I think really they need to get Bogey, man. They need to get Bogdanovich. I broke down a trade the other day with, getting Bogdanovich, getting a Doug McDermott. I was not too high on McDermott, but when I really started breaking down his position, where he likes to shoot from, and this 4-out-1-in system, it is a really good fit. I got almost 100 of you in the audience, only 17 likes, so make sure you hit that like button so we bring more people in. Let's read your guys' comments. What do you guys think? Mr. W says Schroeder is also a good potential 3rd option scorer that was cheap on the market. See, that's it. This dude is cheap, $2.6 million, right? So that is a massive pick. This dude turned down a $80 million extension 2 years ago. So now we get him back for pennies on the dollar, $2.6 million. Although I think Lonnie Walker will be the team's 3rd option. So now you got Kendrick Nunn, like that backcourt. How do you even roll with that? And I know Lonnie Walker's got length, but he is only 6'3", 6'4", super athletic. So I love that. He can get out on the wings. I was looking up, I shot a video today. The one thing that the Lakers actually did pretty good last year was they held the other opposing team to pretty low, shot percentage at 3-point line. So they were playing wing defense, but they were last in the league on opponent assists and opponent field goals. So what that tells me is they were getting out and getting hands up on these guys at the 3-point line. But other than that, the other 4 dudes stood there and just watched, and they were getting wide open buckets and cutting backdoor. So that is something that is a massive problem with the Lakers that they got to fix. And obviously Lonnie Walker having, a 6'10", wingspan. He's got those long arms, can help, but too many guards right now. I think, something's going to happen, and they got to bring in some of these wing dudes. They got to bring in, Bogdanovich, something. Do you guys think the Lakers are going to give any of those first-round picks? What are your guys' thoughts on that, too? Austin says a Westbrook trade is coming before training camp, 1,000%. Out of here is the Westbrook show. Man, a lot of Westbrook hate out here. Westbrook can't shoot. He must go, from Robert. I was watching some footage the other day of OKC Russ back when he was playing with Paul George. That dude was a bucket. What happened to that? And I can tell. Here's exactly my thought on this. And again, this is my perception of it playing basketball. What happens is usually in the off season, you work, 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 and sometimes you do minor little tweaks on your shot, and with no pressure and nobody guarding you, it is just wet. Like you can do it with free throws. I remember, like, in the summertime, I would work on free throws and I would change the shot just a little bit. But when game time came and the nerves and all the adrenaline, and you would try that and you would miss it badly, you immediately go back to your original shot. And if you saw all last off season, Russell Westbrook was working on a new shot. If you look at what he's doing right now, he's working on a new shot. But when it came game time, Westbrook went right back to where he was shooting before, up high, and he holds onto the ball way too long. On his way down, he's releasing. And that tells me that he wasn't confident with his old shot, and with his new shot, and he's trying to find his old shot again. And I think it just got into his head. And I couldn't imagine the pressure that dude's going through. Being back home, wearing the purple and gold, being with LeBron, and just getting hated on. So I'm not a big dude to be hating on NBA players because he's a hell of a player. But that OKC Russ was nasty. That's, I think, what they were looking for. Golly. Okay, let's read some more of these here. Again, I'm your NBA white guy. Talk all things NBA hoops. If you have not subscribed yet, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I really break down a lot of film. All right. We got Lakers aren't trying to win anything. Do you guys think that's true? Do you think the Lakers aren't trying to win? I think they're really trying to make a move right now. This is too many guards. They're going to be doing something. Here we go. Mr. W, I still think Josh Richardson and Doug McDermott should go to the Lakers. Both are wings. Here's what I'm going to do real quick. I'm going to bring up some stat sheets and talk about this real quick, because if we look right here, Dennis Schroeder last season, he averaged like 14.5 points a game, 13.5, but the last few were with the Rockets. He wasn't playing much. He's a decent player. I just want to look at his shot chart. Dennis Schroeder shot chart. I'm big on this 4-out 1-in, and they got to have the players in the right spots. So that's the big thing, is where's he able to shoot from. He's a mid-range jumper. So it looks like a lot of his points come right in here, but from the 3-point line, 30s, not too good, but from the corner. So a lot of the Lakers we have right now, Pat Bev, Anthony Davis, they really shoot high percentage from the corners. If we look up Doug McDermott, he shoots almost 70% from this corner. He shot almost 23-pointers last year from right here, and was shooting like 68%. And 55 to 60% over here, and 42 to 43% all up top. So he's a knockdown shooter. Again, when you run 4-out 1-in, what you're doing is you're either passing to a player and cutting, or you're dribbling at that player, and that player cuts. Last year, there was no movement. It was 2 picks up top, and they tried to do pick and rolls out of that, and guys were just standing around, right? So the offense should be moving a lot more, but that means you have to have guys in spots, right? Wings and corners. And so, a guy like Schroeder, he can hit from the corners. He's also a dude, the 4-out 1-in. That also doesn't mean that the post is the 1-in. It's just called the dunker spot. So this is where you can bring in guys who can, a Westbrook, right? Who his jumper usually was pretty wet in here, but hasn't been lately. But Schroeder is. So this is a guy, 4-out 1-in. He can be the dunker spot, but he can hit and knock down jumpers. So that's a pretty good pickup right there for sure. And for $2 million, that's almost free. You guys are lighting the comments up. Let's keep going on these. Dennis does nothing to improve their championship odds. I'm taking none over him. They need to trade Westbrook. I don't think they bring in a Dennis Schroeder for increasing the odds of a championship. It has nothing to do with that. Obviously he's a cheap player. It's a 1-year deal, so they are probably setting up for next year as well. But yeah, honestly, it looks like they're setting something up to move off of Westbrook. I 1,000% agree with you on Kendrick Nunn. Again, let's go and look at this real quick. If we look at his last season, Kendrick Nunn he didn't play 2022. So this is when he was playing for the Heat, and my goodness, that dude was a bucket. I love freaking Kendrick Nunn. I'm going to move myself real quick so you guys can see this. The thing about, right, the 4-out 1-in is spots. So we've got Anthony Davis, in the bubble year, and actually the entire season of 2020, he was shooting 45% from these corners over here. So he can shoot really well from the corners. And if you look, Kendrick Nunn isn't the best shooter from the corners, but from the top, 36%, and the very top, 41. So this is a guy pick and roll, and you got to honor that. So as a basketball team, right? Lakers were, just atrocious at this last year. It's a lot of standing around and watching and then jacking up a shot. I mean, LeBron's averaged 3.7 3-pointers per game his entire career. Last year, he averaged over 8 3-pointers. And a lot of it, as you saw and I saw, it was garbage. He would dribble until there's 4 seconds left and jack something up. I'm surprised he shot 36%. But that's not an offense. You've got to be moving, especially in LeBron. But when you've got a 4-out-1 in and you got these shooters all around here that are in their correct spots, shooting 40, 45, 50%, that means that the defense has to watch them. They can't sag off. That's going to allow your boy LeBron to cut right down to the middle, which collapses the defense, and then he can kick it out and hit the shooters where they need to shoot. And this is also something where LeBron doesn't have to bring the ball down. He can, start in one of these positions and trade with Kendrick Nunn, right? Kendrick Nunn can come up here and just knock it down. He's also a great catch and shoot shooter. He can dribble, drive, penetrate, and make buckets too. So I keep calling him, he's a baby Kyrie. This dude was, I think, one of the most ascending players in 2020, averaging 25 points a game. I remember in the bubble watching him, and I mean, Jimmy buckets. You got Tyler Heroes, and I'm like, Kendrick Nunn is the guy I'm fearful of. So maybe I just see things a little differently, but I'm huge on Kendrick Nunn right now. I wanted to do just real quick, just to show you guys Anthony Davis. If he comes back healthy, guys. And this is the thing. We're so short memory. We don't remember Anthony Davis healthy in the bubble, healthy in the 2021 season when they actually made it to the playoffs and they were toying with the Suns. Every analyst, everybody watching it, the Suns were so outnumbered. It was just a beatdown. And then AD goes down. Suns go all the way to the finals. So we got to realize all we got to do, especially getting this young talent and getting a tough Schroeder. Schroeder's tough-nosed. Him and Pat Bev, that's, one of those dudes can start and the other bench, and then you've got that gritty point guard defender, at all times. That's what I love about it. So Anthony Davis right here in this corner, 54% shooter. So again, get him to his spots. This is what they, didn't do a lot. A lot of times last season, he was camping right up here and doing screens and pick and rolls, which you can do, and you got to do. You got to do a lot of pick and rolls with Anthony Davis because he's going to get that dunk here. But there's also times because he can't stay healthy that we can get him out onto the corners flashing out. You can dribble at him up here, and he can cut down and get to his corner. When a guy gets to the center, kick it to him, right? He's going to stretch out their biggest, best defender too. So, again, let's get back to you guys and your comments here. This is not like massive news. It's not something that, really is going to move the needle on the championship grid, but it does mean that maybe something's going to happen with Westbrook. Let's see. Westbrook's arrogance is the main issue. So again, I broke down kind of the psychology of this, the arrogance, and he is hard-headed, but you have to realize too, when you're a motor guy like he is and he goes 1,000,000 miles an hour on offense, if you noticed last year, there was so much just standing around and finger pointing that, he works in an offense where the rest of the team is really working hard and really, defending well. He wasn't defending well, but the whole team gave up. And I think, just the lack of effort last year, it really got to him. It probably pissed him off. Like, dude, nobody's working hard. It was bad to watch last year. It just wasn't. So I agree. His arrogance is off, but we've watched this dude be a machine for his entire career except for last year. I mean, even with the Wizards, he wasn't taking them to the finals or nothing, but he got them to the playoffs, and he was scary except for, man, that bubble run when the Lakers played the the Rockets. Remember when Westbrook was there and LeBron dunked on him? Oh, my God. Unbelievable. But let's keep going on these. Let's see here. Universe. Hey, in your description section says, come debate with you. So do you take calls on your program then? Well, I'm going live right now. What you got? That's live. Pat Bev's reaction to the Lakers versus Clippers. Right here, right? Prior to being a Laker, and Dennis posted a pic of his daughter and in a Schroeder jersey prior to being a Laker, I wouldn't mind a trade with the Heat. Yeah, I know there was a talk about the Heat trade. I don't know why. Maybe you guys can comment down below. Why would the Heat even be trading right now? But there was talks from one of those NBA execs about if they can get the picks, getting like a Tyler Hero, but there was also some other talks. It's basically all guards, and we got plenty of guards now. So right now, I think a bigger wing player that can stretch, Bogdanovich, even a McDermott. McDermott, it's not a guy I'd really like trade picks for. I wish he was a free agent. A small signing that would be like absolutely crucial. But we got some more here. I think they need to move Russ. I think the damage is done. It could be done, but like I mentioned, basketball players, dude, they forget quickly once they're teammates. I did this too. I hated my crosstown rivals. I want to rip their heads off, and then we would play All-Star, in the summer AAU, and they were my homies, dude. I would have killed for them. So I get this whole Pat Bev, Westbrook thing, and them high-fiving in practice. The one thing that's going to be terrible is if they're fighting for one spot. I talked about this in my last video. This is why you need to subscribe to my content, because I give you real-life information on this stuff. I remember playing, college hoops, and anybody that's not in your position but playing with you, they're your ride or die. But that one dude that you're going to battle with for that starting spot, that is who you go to battle with every single day. Clawing, punching, fighting. I saw some big old brawls in one time our 2 point guards were going at it, and Kurt was our main point guard, and he kept giving Joe the business, and Joe was so mad, and we got done with a heated practice, and we got on the bus, and here comes Joe. He come walking out. I see him, and wham, he punches Kurt. It goes to that when you're fighting for a position. So if Westbrook and Pat Bev are fighting for that starting spot, I could see it, unless one of them bows out and says, dude, I'll be the sixth man. Just let me run that second unit. I don't see it happening. I'd rather have a guy like, Pat Bev out there for the defense, and then surround a bunch of shooters with AD and Braun, and that's your recipe, right? But, if they have to fight for that one spot, I don't see it. And now you've got Kendrick Nunn, and now you got Schroeder. You're not benching those dudes. Like, Nunn's a walking bucket. Ken says, I like this 4-guard rotation. The Lakers are going to wait on the Jazz imminent buyouts. Yeah, and the Jazz got to move a couple players because they got too many players already right now. But they're not going to release anybody that's good. Danny Ainge is trying to get them picks. I'll tell you that right now. Okay, so do you guys think the Pacers are still out there? Viable trade? That news came out that they wanted, obviously, the 2 first-round picks, and they wanted like the Tice contract picked up, and they wanted THT, which he's gone. So now you got to trade Russ and Nunn with the 2 first-rounders for Turner and Hield. It's a tough one. I don't want to get rid of Nunn. Like, I think Nunn, he's cheap, and he is that dude. He's going to turn some heads. I would hate to get rid of Nunn, but Buddy, Hield, and Turner, great players that could really make them, viable. And now you go in with Pat Bev, and you got Schroeder. Yeah, I like Nunn a lot. I'm really, really high on him. But what do you guys think about that trade right there? Let's see. I'm going to keep getting to all your guys' stuff. I think they are going to start Pat Bev and Nunn, then Schroeder. Yeah, this is a crazy one because those are all small dudes. None of those guys are tall. They're all 6 foot, 6'1". So can't have, you can go, beginning game, mid game type of stuff with them or whatever, but you're going to have to finish, a little stronger than that. So, but now you've got Lonnie Walker. You got obviously Westbrook. Too many guards right now. Yeah, Schroeder is also leveraged for a trade next year. This is a win-win that some people aren't seeing. All right, hey guys, I got a bunch of you in the audience. Schroeder just got signed with the Lakers, $2.66 million. He just got done playing over in Europe. That season's done, and as soon as that was done, he got signed. So he is the newest Laker. He's coming back for a second trip. The first one, I know he averaged 13, 14 points, but he was not too good. But he should have a lot less pressure off of him. When they signed him the first time, he was supposed to be this absolute dog and a walking bucket and score a lot of points. And I think that pressure got to him. Now at $2.6 million and being a role player, I think, obviously he won't have the respect in the locker room like a Rajon Rondo. I'd love to see Rondo back, but he could almost play that kind of role. Come in, get some buckets, organize the offense and defense. And, he's a vet now. He's a smart player. So I think it's a great pickup for 2.6 mil. You guys, if you haven't seen my content yet, I'm the NBA white guy. I talk all things NBA hoops. So make sure that you hit that like button and you subscribe to my channel. I'm doing daily videos about breaking down NBA stuff from my perspective, playing hoops, shot charts, you name it, breaking down offenses. So make sure you're hitting that subscribe button. Damn. Yeah, none is dirty. None is dirty. I broke it down. All right, here we go. Roland says Myers Leonard is a good backup stretch for the strength and length that can get hot from three. What do you guys think about Myles Leonard? Again, yeah, we do need some shooters, some taller shooters. That's the one thing we're kind of lacking right now. Definitely is getting the real 3-and-D shooter, and that could be what they're trying to do with this right now. They got Schroeder in there. Vet presence. He is a pretty good scorer, and this is something maybe now they're trying to move off of Westbrook. All right, let's get to see if there's some more comments about some trades you guys are hearing. Let's keep Russ with Dennis. They played together. They can make it happen. The problem with that is you still got Pat Bev and you got Nunn, and they could play together, yes, for sure. But, man, you got too many guards, too many Darvin Ham, you got your work cut out for you. And I know what Ham's doing and saying, and it's all the right things. He's all about that defense and that effort, and I really hope he sticks with it. I talk about this a ton in my channel. A lot of people want to just, the analysts out there and the news anchors, they want to just bring up stats, but when you've been in these locker rooms, you truly understand what these coaches are trying to do. And it all boils down to chemistry, right? Like chemistry, glue guys, they're so important to freaking winning and going deep into the playoffs. You have to have those. And Darvin Ham is talking about that energy and the defensive end. And he's got to make sure that it sticks with that. And it really starts with LeBron. Like, LeBron is obviously in year 20. He played too many minutes last season. He's got to cut those minutes down, but he's got to show some real effort on that defensive end too, because if you play sports, you get it. The king guy, the top player, the best player, if he's slouching and not playing, it draws the energy down. If he plays out of his mind, plays defense, gets into people, the rest of the team sees that and they get lit. They get excited. Remember JaVale McGee and Dwight on the high, and then you get these other defenders playing hard. It's contagious. So Darvin really needs to make sure that LeBron is doing it first. But yeah, I mean, if they can get that defense going, remember in bubble run, that was all. They were the number one defense. Last year, they were 27th. They gave up the most field goals. They gave up the most opponent assists. And they also, they were really good. They were 7th in the league, best defense for rim protecting, for shot blocking. They were right in the middle of the pack for allowing 3-point made. So they were getting out to the wings. They were blocking shots. But that also tells me that they were being super lazy and that the entire defense was sitting there and just watching that one wing defender. And it was allowing guys to go backdoor, get wide open shots. So to be a number one defense, it's all 5 players playing all game long, right? And communicating. That communication is really big. And last year you saw it. They weren't talking. Every defense was blown, and then they were just pointing fingers at each other. So really, it's chemistry at the end of the day that's got to get fixed. Okay, this was one that I loved. I broke this entire trade down with stats, with shot charts. This would be amazing. But obviously Danny Ainge came out and said that Vanderbilt was off limits, but Vanderbilt V8. I didn't know too much about him, so I looked at his film and watched his film. Super high energy guy. Now you'd have that big. He's not afraid to get up and block shots. And I talked about this a lot. When you look at LeBron's big runs, into the playoffs and finals and where he won, he had glue guys that never filled the stats, right? Birdman was a guy who literally was in under the rim every time trying to block shots, taking charges, getting tons of rebounds. Didn't ever really score many points, but those are the glue guys that you need, right? Now he also had it. Who else? Tristan Thompson. Tristan played pivotal role in those Cavs, years. He was a monster down there. Terrible shooter, but you got to have those big, high energy glue dudes who ain't scared of nobody. Don't care if they get dunked on. Get a ton of block shots. One or two of those big blocks in a game can completely change the trajectory of the game. It'll completely flip the script. So I love a dude like Vanderbilt, V8. He is high energy, not afraid to get dunked on. He's going to block a ton of shots. He's going to run the court. You got to have guys that run. This is a small, fast team. Then let's run. Let's get moving, right? You got Pat Bev. I love Austin Reeves. This is a dude who can get his hand on a lot of balls, get tips, and we can run that fast break. So, a guy like V8, dirty. Bogey, this is a dude who stretches the defense. Again, last season, it was too easy on the Lakers, right? You just sat there and you just watched LeBron dribble around, and you could double him and you could pack the paint because they weren't scared of anybody shooting, right? So, the reason you bring in good shooters is because it stretches the defense. Obviously to knock down shots, but it also makes the defense respect the players so that there's more gaps for LeBron to go downhill and then dish it out, right? Last year, he would just drive in. There was 3 guys packing the paint. And they're like, sure, let Westbrook shoot it. Sure, let these dudes shoot it. Like, there was nobody out there that they were scared of knocking down shots. So, any kind of these shooters, that's like a Doug McDermott. Any of these guys who are known in the league as shooters, it's even if they're having off nights, they go 0 for 10. Steph Curry goes 0 for 10. You're not going to leave him open. You're going to guard him every single time, right? That's the one thing about Anthony Davis. He only shot, 17% from behind the arc last year. 2020, he shot almost 40%, 37%, but he stretched the defense. You're not going to let him shoot for free. So that was just something. A lot of times it doesn't boil down to the stats. It really boils down to that player stretching the defense out. So we got to get shooters. So I'm big on that trade right there. Would love to get Vanderbilt and Bogey. You're talking about a dangerous, dangerous team. And think about it. You got to have it, during the regular season. This is another thing that, doesn't get discussed a lot, but when you're LeBron James, you're the Lakers, you're getting every team's 150% every night, right? Like if you go to a Houston Rockets game and they play just they play the Kings or they play there's nobody in the audience. Nobody cares. There's no energy. But when the Lakers come to town, the place is packed, and those Houston Rockets, those young dudes, man, they play out of their mind. 48 minutes, balls to the walls, because they're going against LeBron. They want that win. So you have to realize these Lakers get every team's best effort every single night. So this is where we do need that youth, and we need these dogs to go out there and be able to get, and not only get, but if LeBron sits, he doesn't lose a 10-point lead every single time. There's nothing more frustrating than as soon as LeBron sits, boom, he's down by 10 points all of a sudden. So these are high energy dudes that can really keep these leads, and they can really, go out there and get some buckets. That's why I like Kendrick Nunn, because he can go out there and score, not as good. I'm not calling him Kyrie, but, watching him in 2020, my eyes were on that dude. And I was just like, I'm in love with, I fear him against the Lakers, against LeBron, but man, he is talented and he can score. Did they sign Dennis for real? Yes, they did. Here is the ESPN report right here. It just got released. Dennis Schroeder back with Los Angeles on a 1 year. He's only 1 year, too, and it's only $2.6 million. So, yes, he is there. Now we got a plethora of guards. That's kind of what we've been talking about here. Does that mean that Westbrook's out? You got like 16 point guards now. So maybe they're trying to package something. Someone else brought up maybe they're packaging up Russ and Nunn. I think a lot of teams out there aren't dumb. That's why Nunn has been in a lot of these trade talks, because I think everybody knows how good he is, and that's why I don't want to lose him on the Lakers, because he's a scorer. But if we can get some bigger shooters and defenders, it might be something we have to do. So, yes, Schroeder is the newest Laker. And does that mean there's some more trades? Let's see. All right, let's get some more out of here. This is some comment that I get all the time. The Lakers are too cheap, but at least these new signings can help. Westbrook getting benched. Do you think the Lakers are being cheap, or is it just not worth getting rid of these? Because if you listen to Danny Ainge and some of the other news anchors out there, like these Lakers picks are some of the most coveted picks out there right now. So I think they know the value that they have, and they're probably waiting more or less to just say, you know what, we got these two incredible picks. Let's hold on to these and see if a team gets desperate and we can, maybe just offload one, and get these other players and get rid of Westbrook. That's probably what they're trying to do instead of getting rid of both picks. If they get rid of both picks, they better get a haul for it, But you never know. Are they being cheap? What do you guys think? All right, let's go through you guys. If you guys haven't yet, I got 230 of you in the audience. I only got 40 likes, so hit the like button. And if you haven't yet, subscribe to my channel. I've been doing it for a couple months now. I'm the NBA white guy. As you can hear and see, I've played a lot of basketball, and I give you my own hooper's perspective. So I'll break down offenses. I'll break down, really what I'm seeing. Sometimes, you listen to these news guys. They've never dribbled a basketball. They don't truly understand the game concept, and I like to give my opinion on that, so make sure you subscribe. Pacers, definitely not interested in a deal. Here we go. Daryl. Kevin Love plays in LA next season. I would love to see Love back with Braun. That dude, can you believe how good he was at shooting that three, transitions, in the Cavs? And here's the cool thing about Love. I started noticing watching him, a season and a half ago, 2 seasons ago, where, obviously it was just him left and he had that young talent, and the Cavs are going to be nasty this year. Kevin Love's probably like, no, I'm good here. I got Spida and Jarrett, and I got these dudes. We're good. We're going to be like number 4 in the East, 5 in the East. But Kevin Love is from LA, played at, UCLA. He would probably love to go home, and him and LeBron got a tight relationship. But you'd see him, at the beginning of that career when, 2 seasons ago, when he was acting a fool and pissed off and punching balls, and then boom, snapped into a role. Somebody must have got into his grill. If you want to extend your career, you need to change and be an absolute vet and leader. And he became the best vet, best leader, and that Cavs team absorbed that. They, almost made the playoffs, and you can see it was a Kevin Love switch that. He was against those young dudes, and he hated playing with them. His head was down, and terrible plays to just instant. This is what these guys, like a Westbrook out there, like they got to understand this. Like, I got to go back. I got to go into a role play. Like, I'm at the latter end of my career, role play, right? Carmelo finally did it, and he's been a great shooter. If Carmelo could play a little bit defense, he's a knockdown shooter. He was probably the best shooter for the Lakers last year. But again, very old, no defense. He did stay healthy, though. Trey Deep, what's up? Love the channel, my dude. Thank you. I appreciate it. Yes, been shooting lots of videos for you guys all about the NBA from a hooper's perspective. So make sure you tap that subscribe button. Yeah, Kevin Love staying a Cav as that team primed for a run now with Spida. Exactly what I just said. Yeah, he's probably like, I'm good. We're good. I got this young talent over here. I get to be a role player. When those NBA players, those vets, when they get that role player going, man, that is special to watch. It is really cool to see those older players take on that role and, man, extend their careers. And that is what the NBA lacks right now more than anything. These young teams out there, I don't care if they go 60 wins, 64 wins. Like, they ain't going to make it deep into the playoffs unless they got some real bona fide vets in there who can teach them how to be professionals, teach them how to not act like a fool in the playoffs. But they run out of gas, man. And I remember playing college basketball when we were young. You're going a million miles an hour, and the older vets, would come in and play, and they beat the brakes off you. Like, they just are smarter at basketball, and you don't know how to be that, that smarter basketball player until you're really either age into that, or you get those older dudes who come in and teach you that. And so I think Kevin Love with that younger Cavs team right now, the Cavs would be dumb to get rid of him, to be honest. All right, what do you guys think about this? Joe Harris is a good pickup for the Lakers. Let's hear your guys' comments on Harris. Let's see. John Wick. He wants a shout out, guys. NBA White Guy, yo, I love your content, bro. You're amazing. Can I get a shout out? I watch all your videos. You just got one. Shout out from PH. Love your content. Hey, thank you guys. I appreciate it, man. I give it to you straight. Played a lot of hoops, and I like to give a different perspective. I'm so sick and tired of these YouTube channels where all they do is screen record what, Woj says or what Windhorse says, and then they repeat it, and there's no like actual, emphasis behind. There's no data behind. There's no real stories behind it. I can't stand that kind of content. So I was like, you know what? I got to go all in, and I got to talk this stuff. I've played basketball my whole life. I really get it. I get the battles mentally. I get the psychology of it, and I really wanted to give that opinion. So if you like that stuff, make sure you are subscribing to this channel. And as you can see, and if you've ever watched my videos, go back and watch it. I actually bring up your guys' comments and your guys' trades. So I'm kind of building a platform for all you guys. I've done a ton of videos where, I'll take your guys' comments on what trade you think is, and I bring it up on the screen. I give you a shout out, and we break down your trade. We look at shot charts. We look at how it fits in the offense, and we break it down. So, I'm doing things a little bit different. So I appreciate you guys giving me the love. All right, what do you guys think about this? Rob is horrible. If he doesn't make another move, it makes no sense. So is Rob Pelinka horrible? Traditional OG Laker fans, it seems like you guys are tired of him, but he did deliver a championship two years ago. He got Anthony Davis in there. He might be able to, have a trick up his sleeve again. And I don't truly feel like, Rob Pelinka wanted to do the Westbrook trade last year, but the grumblings were, obviously, DeMar DeRozan would have been, oh my goodness, with the Lakers. Can you imagine DeRozan and because jump shooter, walking bucket, defense, with LeBron and AD, but apparently they wouldn't pay him what he wanted, and then they wouldn't pay Caruso. Man, you got to keep AC fresh. That was my dude, that guy. And if you think about LeBron too, he's had that kind of guy in a lot of those teams too that really play that motor, that kind of, get a lot of steals. He had that, remember Matthew Dellavedova? It was like the identical player to AC Fresh, and LeBron loves those players, man. He knows that they're going to get pick steals. LeBron can take off down the road, down the court, and they're going to lob him the ball, and he can go get his dunk on. So, is Rob Pelinka being cheap, not keeping some of these ex-players and, not getting the right players in? What do you guys think of that? No, I don't think they are being cheap. I think they're doing a deal right now. Rob Pelinka ain't stupid. He's working on something. Okay, what's he working on? What is he working on? I just put in my Instagram and everything in there too for you guys to follow. Trade material. Westbrook is gone. Where's Westbrook going? Let's hear it. Westbrook being on this team bothers me. Daryl, I can't lie. I like your content. New sub. My dude, Daryl, thank you. And I'm giving you guys a shout out too. Yeah, man, I'll give a real Hooper's perspective. Does this mean the trade is coming? That seems to be the talk, right? Okay, let's break it down again. I mean, you got Schroeder in there now. You got Kendrick Nunn. I'm big on Kendrick Nunn. You got Pat Bev. I love the Pat Bev trade. There was guys eating that Pat Bev trade up, and he can't shoot, and he can't this. I don't give a damn if he can't shoot. He is that dog. Last year, it was embarrassing. And again, I give a perspective. It's not X's and O's. It is all hustle. And when you are getting down on your play, I've been on teams. I've been in locker rooms where you start Xing a dude out and everybody's kind of against that dude. And when he's on the court, you just don't even want to play with him, dude. And it can really mess up chemistry. And what it does is it kills the energy, and you just get beat. That's what it is. But I've played on teams too where we were not the best team in the league, but we were freaking dogs. We did everything. This is big too. Off court. I want to see these dudes doing stuff off the court together, building that trust. If you listen to all the interviews of the best teams, man, they are ride or die dogs, man. They hang out every day. I was listening to a podcast the other day with Sheed. Sheed was talking about that championship run with Darvin Ham. He said them dudes played, or they were hanging outside the game every single night, man. They were as tight as can be. That is the kind of thing I'm telling you. It's bigger than X's and O's, than stats. So Pat Bev, to me, he is going to really be a force in that locker room. He's going to get into these dudes' butts on defense and make them, held them accountable. So that's what Darvin Ham wants, I'm big on it. So yeah, Adam says, if Russ gets moved, do you think it's Utah or Indiana, or is it a move unexpected suitor like the Knicks and the Heat? It's like it's all speculation right now, 100%. I have literally spent hours and days and weeks going through this to try and figure it out, and it's speculation. A lot of it makes sense. For me, I think, and I'll say this and then I'll be wrong, but like Indiana's out. I think Indiana was just like, you know what? If the Lakers are that desperate, here's what we want, right? If you give us this, we'll give you Buddy Hield and Miles Turner. But other than that, we're not going to do that. So I don't know. It seems, Utah has too many players right now. So instead of just dropping players, I know that Danny Ainge is trying to get whatever he can trade-wise. Obviously, nobody wants to go play in Utah. Hearing that, raw interview from Donovan Mitchell yesterday about, he wanted to run it back with Big Dog. He said that with Gobert. I don't know if that's really true. It sounded like that relationship was done, but, news anchors out there will make any kind of headline. So it sounded like Mitchell really wanted to stay, but Danny Ainge, he was done. Like, he's moved on. Good riddance. So the only thing that I fear about Danny Ainge, they're going to draft well, and that's what they're going to have to do is completely rebuild in the draft because nobody wants to come there as a free agent. They always do good at drafting, but this is a dude who didn't pay Isaiah Thomas in Boston and, his 200-something million. Then Thomas, has his hip injury, and then he's out of the league for 5 years, makes no money. And I think players saw that. And they were probably like, you know what? That Danny Ainge, he's all business. Like, that's another reason free agents don't want to go there. So, to me, he's got to get the draft capital. He's got to draft like crazy. He might be able to trade for some stars or something, but I think he's going to really rebuild this. So, Utah seems the most likely. I still can't figure out why the Heat would want to move off like a Tyler Hero, which was thrown out there. Give me Hero all day. Sixth man of the year, walking bucket, shoots from anywhere. He's got the snarl. Give him to me. But the other person in that trade was was Lowry. We don't need, would I love to have Lowry? You're damn straight. Lowry starting point guard. He is a gym rat. Everybody who talks about him says that dude never leaves the gym. He is the hardest working dude. I love Lowry, but now we got Kendrick Nunn, we got Pat Bev, we got it's too many. But I don't know if you get a Tyler Hero or something, out of the deal, great. So we got to hear what our commenter said. NBA white guy 10-day contract. Let's get it. I'll go in there. I'll get my 10-day. I'm 38 now. Once you hit 33, 34, man, that vertical dips off. The injuries come up. It's fascinating to see what LeBron can do at 38 years old. But, I do watch a lot of NBA players' careers, and you can see that right at that 33, 34, 35, man. It's this dip, and you see it in LeBron's athleticism. He'll every once in a while get that head kind of close to the rim, but I bet he's lost a good foot off that vert. And when I was like 31, 32, I still was in the 40-inch vert banging out. And once I hit 33, I lost like a foot. I can still dunk, but man, it's like, in fact, I dunked in a men's league one time, and this younger kid's like, man, that was the oldest dunk I've ever seen. So, I'll give my 10-day. I go in there and I'll give my everything for sure. In some way, we get Buddy Hield and Turner. It's a championship. I'm big on Hield. Honestly, I love that. My top would be somehow, some way getting Vanderbilt and Bogey. Obviously, Conley and Clarkson were in that trade too, but we don't need them now. And that big contract. The Knicks were thrown in there with Fournier and Reddish, and I don't know. What really makes them viable right now? Honestly, can the Lakers buy out Westbrook? And is it? That's my only thing. Because really, if you just rid the Westbrook, unless they really, like I mentioned, I talk about this and I did a ton of videos on it. If there's competition with the Lakers, and Pat Bev and Westbrook were playing together, I see it working. Honest to God, you can say whatever you want, but if they work together and they use that energy together, and Pat Bev gets a lot of hands-on balls, you got Westbrook running the fast break, whatever, I get it. But if they're trying to fight for the same point guard position, I have been in there. I have gotten in fights, and I've seen my teammates fight when you want that spot. And here's the other thing that's sick and wrong about it is you sit on the bench, and you're like, man, I kind of hope this dude bricks a shot or airballs it or throws the ball away or rolls his ankle. Like, I'm telling you the truth. I'll be 100 with you because you just want to get out there and get your minutes. So that's the one thing, if they're fighting for that same spot and they're both alpha dogs, man, it's going to really disrupt that locker room even more. The chemistry, the team's going to start siding with guys. It's over with. The season's done. So really, it's just getting a team in there that can have the chemistry, because I don't forget just 2 seasons ago in the playoffs after the bubble when they went there and Anthony Davis and LeBron James were toying with the Phoenix Suns. They had them licked. They were beating the snot out of them. AD goes down, they lose, right? What did the Suns do that year? They went to the freaking finals. So I know that LeBron and AD are enough in the playoffs. We just got to get that good chemistry. We got to get some dogs. We got to have those role players. And you have to have some glue guys. That's it, man. And they can take it a long way. So that's kind of what my thoughts are on it. Again, the audience is really growing. I really appreciate all your guys' nice comments about, my content. I know I do things a little differently. I'm not just going to screen grab a bunch of other people's stuff out there and replay it. Like, I'm giving you my true opinions. So please, make sure that you subscribe and check this out. And I just did a video. I just released it before this news came out about one of the NBA's biggest bust, Adam Morrison. Does anybody remember Adam Morrison? Well, I grew up playing against him. I grew up right next to him. He's one of the best college players I've ever seen. He was the next Larry Bird, went into this NBA, and, third overall, was supposed to be the next Larry Bird and considered a bust. But I got some crazy stories about him, and I did a video. So after this, go check that out. Reeves took Caruso's spot. He did. We'll see. I loved Reeves' energy. I'm really hoping he can take that Caruso role, but you almost can't fill that Caruso spot, man. Caruso was that dude. I really, really loved Caruso, and I'm hoping Reeves is that guy. 6'5", that gives us a little bit more length right there. I think we might see him in some starting rotations for sure. Celtics and Lakers. We get Mr. Walker and players. Austin Reeves is the new Caruso with a better shot. Reeves is going to have a breakout year. They've been talking all about Austin Reeves. I agree. I watched him last year, and the thing about wearing the purple and gold is that it's a lot of pressure, and that's what gets to people too, is that he really, he had that confidence. So when you play for the Lakers too, it can break you down. That's why Schroeder, I think he kind of shrunk. Obviously Westbrook too. It's different. Like, obviously I haven't played for him, but you talk to every person, there's just nothing like wearing the purple and gold. And so, Austin Reeves shows quite a bit of resilience and confidence, and that's what you need in players. And so I'm really excited about Austin Reeves for sure. All right, Claudio. Westbrook value just went down. It's either to the bench and cash his check all year long or accept a new, cheaper contract with a new team. He bench, his value next year will be nothing. Yep. You never know, man. This guy could completely rebound and go to a team where he is the top dog, gets the ball in his hand, can dribble the air out the ball. He needs to probably just go back to OKC, and, well, they got a good young squad too, but Shai Gilgeous is that dude. Pat Bev is what is missing after losing Dudley. LBJ needs someone to hold accountable. Damn straight. I love it. Again, what have I talked about multiple times in here? Things that the analysts and the stats will never show is the glue guys. Dudley was a glue guy. And if you ever listen to LeBron, the respect he had for Dudley, next to nothing, right? It's that respect. And this is what I've been talking about. You're never going to get it from a stat sheet. You're never going to get it from a news anchor. Those glue guys, those guys who just work hard or smart, and they own that locker room, you have to have that to be successful at any level. There just has to be these glue guys. You saw it in some of those Cavs runs, man. I mean, when you had Channing, you had, RJ, you had some of those dudes, man, they were all super tight, and they were vets, and they held LeBron accountable. They were LeBron's age or older than LeBron, Channing Frye and Richard Jefferson and those dudes. So these are guys that LeBron can't just look down at as like these young dudes. They're freaking vets who were incredible players. And Jefferson had a great career and was a top dog. And so I think, a Dudley and these older players, they earn that respect of LeBron, and he will play for them. So it's super important, But there's a long 82-game regular season, and that's where you need the younger dudes, because you're going to get every team's best performance every night, because they want to freaking go at LeBron. They want to be able to tell their grandkids that they played LeBron and beat him, right? I've seen it. You're going to get every team's best ever every night, and that's why you can't be ancient old like they were last year, because they couldn't run up and down. They couldn't defend. In a playoff series, they may be able to outsmart teams, but 82 games, you can't get enough wins to make the playoffs, obviously. All right, let's see if there's some other trades in here that anybody has talked about. What do you think about a trade to Sacramento for Lamb and Herter? Man, I'm not bailing out Sacramento at all for Lamb and Herter. Again, I need a real good glue dude. I need like a knockdown shooter. Again, sometimes it's not the actual shooter's percentage. It's just stretching the defense. So Bogdanovich is a dude who can shoot from really far. He's a guy who you cannot leave alone, and so he's going to always have that defender or two watching him, which opens lanes. That's what the Lakers truly need. And then obviously, Buddy Hield's one of the best shooters that the league's seen in the last 5 years. I mean, he's maybe second, third, field goal or three-pointers made to only maybe Steph Curry or something. So, what was crazy? I looked at that stat the other day. Donovan Mitchell was up there as one of the top three-point shooters. He's a knockdown shooter too. That signing was desperation by the Lakers. I don't think it's desperation at $2.6 million. It could mean they have something up their sleeve with Westbrook, for real. So we're gonna have to see, what happens with that. Salute and blessings. I finally caught your live. Much respect. Love it. You guys have been giving me a ton of respect. I got a bunch of you in the audience. I am the NBA white guy. I talk all things NBA hoops from a hooper's perspective. You're going to hear it different from me. I love basketball. I love the ins and outs, and I'm not going to read stats. I really give you psychology and perspective behind, what's going on with these NBA teams. So if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button. I do daily videos just really breaking down films. And I just released a video about an hour ago about Adam Morrison, one of the NBA's biggest busts, right? But I got crazy stories. I grew up playing against him. I grew up, watching him play and grew up right in an area next to him. I actually got to talk to him post-career. You know who one of Kobe Bryant's favorite players of all time is? Adam Morrison. So if Kobe Bean Bryant liked him, fellow Laker, then, it's a pretty interesting video. So I tell that story of the time that Adam Morrison went to Kobe's last game, where he poured in 60 and the conversations they had. So you guys can watch that and you can vote on who you think some of the NBA's biggest busts are. But if you make it to the NBA, you're amazing. I got to give anybody who makes it to the NBA props, because it's not easy. It's super hard, and there's a lot to it, psychology, mental, anything. So NBA white guy, great name, bro. Hey, I am who I am, right? I'm the NBA white guy. So you guys got to subscribe to the NBA white guy. Paul, thanks for the super chat, brother. Utah released 2 players today, bro. Russ stays. Okay, I didn't see that. Hey, I'm down. If I missed it, I missed it. I did not see that. There's no news on it, but we can look that up. If you know who was released, let us know. But if that means Russ stays, this is going to get interesting. We got too many dudes fighting for that point guard position, and I would pay money to sit in on those practices, because, I played basketball through high school, all through college, and, man, I was just talking to a guy today. He's been coaching for like 20 years now. He grew up in Chicago, actually right where Pat Bev is from, and We were talking about it. Sometimes those practices were more intense than any game we've ever been in. And, especially when you're battling that person for the spot, man, you stay next to that person and you beat that person. If that person's got the starting job, then you're going to go sit next to that player. You're going to stand next to that player. You're going to beat that player. So it'll be interesting to see these dudes in practice getting after it. Hey, brother, 100% there's a trade to move Russ. Could be. We're going to see. Pray Westbrook gets traded. Any trade rumors out there now that Schroeder's signing? I have not seen any. And we're nearing the end of Friday, so we're not going to get the big namers out there. So we're going to have to follow, Woj and them. I got some killer videos breaking down some other trade scenarios. I heard 3 different 3-team trades. I'm going to release that video tomorrow morning. So that would be probably the most viable. These are from actual, NBA executives, the 3 most viable 3-team trades. And actually, there's a couple trades out there that don't involve the Lakers. Some of them involve like Ben Simmons. There's some crazy 3-team trades. So make sure you subscribe to my channel so that you don't miss it. And tomorrow morning, I'll release that video. And that is my last comment. So make sure you subscribe and go watch my video about NBA's biggest bust, Adam Morrison. I promise you, I got some crazy stories in there. Until the next video, my homies, we'll catch you later.